a very big welcome to the launch of the Tea Break. It's Race Equality Matters' fourth solution to help tackle race inequality in the workplace. I'm Javid Thomas, co-founder of Race Equality Matters, co-founded with the fantastic Raz Tulsiani of Chief Exec of Green Park. I'm also the founder of the Collaboratory, which creates collaborations to tackle societal issues that matter the most. We are delighted so many of you are joining us today and people are still streaming through. 300 different organizations registered for today's event, which clearly shows the appetite and will for tackling race inequality. So thank you all for your time this evening, especially when it's nice and sunny outside. Nisha, we can do the speaker slide, please. We have a very diverse audience today, and here's our panel of speakers. But amongst yourselves in the audience, we have senior leaders, HR and D&I professionals, race network leads and chairs and members of race networks, ethnic minority employees, and of course, allies. We believe that this combination of people are the key players needed to help create a change that we need to see in organizations. The organizations here today are also from a very diverse range of sectors. We've got financial and professional service firms, retail and technology sector, local authorities, NHS and charities, and there are a number of umbrella organizations and many more. This diversity of organizations is fantastic as race inequality affects us all, and we need to be united and collaborate to create the change we need to see. So if we could just see the agenda slide, please, Anish. So today's event, we will be introducing the Tea Break, sharing top tips to help you deliver it and how we can support. It will be fast-paced and interactive, and we'll be looking to pack all of the following in the next hour and 15 minutes. So there's a welcome and a poll. You'll then hear from Network Rail, the origins and impact of Tea Break. We'll be introducing the How to Do It Right guide. We have Nexus joining us to show the barriers to change management. We also then have Gil joining us, introducing a peer network for Tea Break. We'll do a quick poll. We'll then hear from an organisation, Oxford County Council and Cherwell District Council, who've already run the Tea Break using the guide. We'll do a breakout room to discuss a question that we want to put to you with a big idea. There'll be a final poll, and if there's time, we may not be able to make it, but if there's time, there's a Q&A, but we can explain how you can ask questions after that. Next slide, please. Really importantly, we need to acknowledge key partners and sponsors. So I'd like to especially thank Green Park and also lifetime visionary partners BT. We're also supported by founding partners, the Data and Management Association and HS2. And a key collaborator in this is Mental Health First Aid England. Collectively, their support means you're able to access the resources for free, but we are very keen and indeed in need of further funding support. So please do get in touch to find out how you can help us. Next slide, please. During the event, if you have any questions or would you like to make a comment, then please do put them in the chat or in the Q&A function. We suggest you switch to speaker view with side by side video and presentation view. Please feel free to tweet and post social media content during or after the event. Our handle is on the slides and there's some hashtags. We will be recording this event, so for you to access and share with later with colleagues, as well as the slide deck. So we will be recording this for yourselves. Before we start, we'd like to do a quick poll. Nish, thank you. If as many of you can answer this, that'd be fantastic. Thank you.
Because he can't believe what he just saw. Look at him. Half head done. Oh.
So 10 more seconds. Fantastic, thank you. So if we just quickly look at this, and we will share these results later with everyone. So how important do you think it's to understand how colleagues are feeling and the thoughts? 79% felt vital, 90% very. How well do you think organization is doing in this space? So 50% a little bit, 32% a fair amount, and 9% a great deal. So it's spread across the board there. Have you noticed much change within your organization in tackle race equality in a few months? So roughly 51% a fair amount or a great deal, but you could say 49% a little bit or less than that. Do you feel lead managers are confident in speaking about race? 82% feel no, and 18 said yes. That's a very important thing that we'll pick up later, actually. So thank you for sharing. Brilliant. Next slide, Nish. Thank you. So just a quick bit of context as to why Tea Break has been created for you. I've messed up the slides. One sec. Sorry, bear with us. Yeah. So we thought it'd be helpful just to provide a bit of context as to why we're here. And you'll hear from First Speakers Network Rail and its Cultural Fusion Network. Race Equality Matters, for those that don't know, is a not-for-profit. Our aim is to be a catalyst to move organizations and individuals from conversations and meaningful action that has to have a real impact. We create concepts and solutions in collaboration with those with lived experience of racial inequality. Everything we do is co-created. The key is to help organizations make the impact we all want to see and indeed feel. The first three solutions we developed, many of you may know, are Race Equality Week, which happened in February, and there's another one next year, Safe Space, and The Big Promise. If you go to our website, raceequalitymatters.com, you'll be able to find more information on that. Next slide, please, Anish. So just to put a bit of context as to why Tea Break is created for you, we carried out, and we're carrying out ongoing research, one-to-ones, focus groups, and polls. And here's some of the key findings that we'll share with you. 85% of race experts said senior leaders did not know what ethnic minority colleagues wanted or required. Next slide. Only 7% from a poll that we carried out believe their organization's activities are making a real impact for race equality. So there is a lot of activity, but very little impact. 59% felt their organization is poor at measuring whether the activity it's doing is successful in building an anti-racist culture. So it's not being measured. 40% said there's been no change to race equality, or in fact, it's got worse since the summer. Final slide, Liz. And 73% from a previous poll said they feel their leaders and managers are not at all comfortable to talk about race. And in the poll we just carried out, it was 82%. So it's in that ballpark. And we believe that actually that's kind of a key heart of everything we're doing, this uncomfortableness to talk about it. So as mentioned, Race Equality Matters is all about solutions to address these issues. So without further ado, and the reason we're all here today, I would like to introduce you to Network Rail and its Cultural Fusion Network, the architects of our fourth solution, the Tea Break. So I'm going to introduce you to Sonia Hazel and Sharon Salmon. So Sonia and Sharon, please unmute yourselves. They're both from Network Rail, which owns, operates and develops Britain's railway infrastructure. Includes 20,000 miles of track, 30,000 structures, including bridges, tunnels, viaducts, level crossings and stations. It manages 20 of the UK's largest and most important stations. Network Rail's role is about running safe, reliable and efficient railways serving customer and communities. So a perfect collaborator for this solution. Cultural Fusion is its race employee network. One of its members, Sonia Hazel, is an insurance and controls manager and part of Network Rail's leadership team. A project manager with 17 years rail experience, specializing in assurance, compliance, and project controls. Along with previous experience, she has a solid leadership skills within diverse backgrounds. Sonia's been an advocate for D&I and for Cultural Fusion. And outside of work, Sonia continues her passion for mental health as a Samaritans volunteer and supports the Stroke Association. We also have Sharon Salmon, who has 18 years experience at Network Rail. She's a commercial analyst and chairs the Cultural Fusion Employee Network. She's established a profile and reputation within Network Rail and externally within the D&I marketplace. Sharon thrives on actively engaging with the business to help build effective working relations. She communicates strategies and concepts simply to lead, motivate, and engage staff. So they will share why and how they came up with the tea break concept, how they run it, and the impact it has made. So over to Sharon and Sonia. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. Wonderful introduction here, and I'm really excited to be here today. The concept of the tea break. So we came up with the concept during a time when we needed to maintain contact with the members of our network, show support and understanding of the different nuances which affect our Black, Asian, minority ethnic colleagues. Our mission is to amplify the voices of our members and give them a platform. We needed to ensure that we continued contact and increase engagement with our members during this time by giving them a chance to speak candidly on issues that were affecting them. It is important that we still embrace our cultures and histories and influence our colleagues and give them an outlet to discuss feelings. Topics such as facing grief, mental health, race, and discrimination. Over to you, Sonia.
Thanks, Sharon. So I'm just going to talk to you a bit about how it works at Network Rail. So it was really important for us that we had an authentic weekly discussion. So what we did after a bit of trial and error was we decided that the topic would be chosen by a member of the leadership team. So we're really happy if we get suggestions from our members. We typically advertise with or using our social media, internal social media, and that's using Yammer. And for our members, we send out a regular calendar invite so they know what the topic is for discussion. Anyone can join our safe space, our virtual tea break. It's irrelevant to what level they are and where they are within the business. We think it's really important that the tea breaks in themselves are not recorded, and that helps in generating the discussion, and it makes it feel like it's a safe space for everybody involved and helps people feel that they can bring honesty and their shared experiences. Everyone has to be respected and all their views, even if you don't necessarily agree with that. We decided that we would make sure that all the topics are not necessarily around race or ethnicity. And this is brilliant in uniting some of our allies as well as our ethnic minority colleagues. Tea breaks can be hosted in a variety of different formats, and that's really helpful depending on who you are and who's facilitating it. And it really helps to keep it fresh. So if I'm hosting it, I might do it that I talk to my co-host about their thoughts about the topic, but other colleagues may use mini presentations to educate, and they can be anything from funeral customs around the world or weddings across different cultures, that sort of thing. Sometimes we use social media and we'll share a video clip, and sometimes we'll use interactive surveys and polls, which really helps with interactivity and the discussion threads. We request, like today, that everyone goes on mute until they're invited to share. So at Network Rail, we use Teams, and so that's a matter of putting your virtual hand up. Sometimes this doesn't happen when people get passionate about a particular topic, but on the whole, people respect it, and we do that. Some of our topics are really emotional and really sensitive, so sometimes people do get upset, and we embrace them and we support them, and we make sure we follow up with people afterwards, whether that's one person, whether that's 10 people, and we make sure we signpost all the attendees to anything that in our supported partners, such as the Samaritans or mental health first aiders. Back over to you, Sharon, to talk about the impact, please.
Great, thank you very much. Yeah, the impact and difference it's making is that people can actually bring that whole self to work. I mean, when I talk to colleagues and members, there's definitely a shift, a change in how they can talk about the things that are affecting them. You know, employees are supported knowing that they are not the only people affected, and we can educate our allies and senior leaders on topics that before we haven't been able to really discuss, candidly and honestly and openly. We encourage a business that talking about race and Black, Asian, minority, ethnic related topics should be normality. It should be business as usual. And allies do get the opportunity to mix with people from other ethnic groups where probably before they would not have had that opportunity. We've seen a 40% increase in membership since we started. And now it would be great just to listen to and hear from our colleagues who have been using the tea breaks. Thank you.
Nish, can we see if the videos are, can we connect to the videos, please?
Hello, I'm Linda Grabs, and I'm Head of HR within the North West and Central region in Network Rail. As a HR professional, I'm sure you would agree with me that we all like to create a safe environment where our people are able to bring their whole self to work. Now, one thing I personally like to do is attend tea break sessions. Now, these sessions usually last up to an hour, where I get to listen and learn about people's experiences. Now, I use this shared experience to develop and enhance any HR initiatives I may well be working on.
Hi, my name is Emma Osborne and I am the Network Rail Commercial Director for Wales and Western Region. I've been attending the Cultural Fusion tea breaks for about 18 months and they are incredible. The courageous and insightful people who share their experiences and the colleagues who listen and who support them on those calls have really educated me, moved me to tears on occasion, and inspired and indeed compelled me to take a much more active role in dismantling racism and discrimination. And as a senior leader and a white woman, I have learned that I can and I must, and now I do, actively use my power and privilege to challenge and to positively influence my organisation.
Hello, my name is Ravi Sond and I'm a business analyst at Network Rail. I really enjoy attending the Cultural Fusion Network tea breaks. They provide a great forum where a wide variety of topics are discussed. It's a safe environment where you get different perspectives, it's non-confrontational, and you can also get support if required. It's non-political. I've really enjoyed the sense of community that has developed, especially during lockdown. Well done, CFN. Keep it up.
Can just add 1 more minute of commentary just in case we can't get through to them?
Regarding the impact of the
yeah.
tea breaks, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's just increased the engagement from our members. It's given us the opportunity to really tackle and dig and drill down as to what is affecting. We've been able to engage with our HR partners to see what we can do to bring in development programs to help with some of the issues that we've discussed. So it's just been such a massive positive. But as Sonia said, some of the topics are sensitive, but you know, we need to talk about those topics and we need to make it more comfortable to talk about those topics. So that is one of the greatest opportunities that we've had with the tea breaks.
Thank you. Nisha, we're going to give it another go, or shall I move on?
Let's move on. Sorry, they don't seem to be.
That's okay. That's okay. Apologise for that, but thank you tons for Network Rail, and we'll be hearing more about this as we go through today's event. Next slide, please. Keep going, Nish. Okay, so to help summarize what the tea break is, it's an organization-wide theme discussion. It enables courageous conversations like Sharon alluded to. Your organization will hear the honest voice and feelings of your colleagues. It's a real opportunity to take meaningful action. As mentioned, they typically take up to an hour, with the opportunity for remote anonymous access amongst colleagues with a facilitated dialogue. Next slide, please. To support you, we've created a How to Do It Right guide. And for those that can't see, there's a cartoon which I'll let people read. I won't read it myself because I'm a very bad joke teller, I've been told. So we'll share it with everyone later. Next slide, please. So it's really important that we can help not to tell you or share something, but how can we support you? So we'll provide you with the support and know-how to run Tea Break. This includes a how to do it right guide and workshops. The guide is primarily for the Tea Break project lead you decide in your organization and the facilitator. It was created to provide step-by-step support. So as you can see on the right, there are 4 key phases and 11 steps to help you do it right. It's based on research and workshops Race Equality Matters held early this year, and it's done in partnership with Network Rail, Mental Health First Aid England, and those with lived experience, and Nexus have also contributed. It is a guide, so feel free to adapt the steps as you need to. There's only one mandatory element we suggest, which Sonia alluded to. There needs to be a facilitator to manage it. Next slide, please, Nish. In the guide, you'll also see we broken it down to why step 1, why step 2, and the role of the person. We also highlight key points of each step. So again, why were they formed? Do look out for green boxes highlighting ideas to consider. So it's little tips. And at the end of each step, we provide a checklist. So again, for a reference point, you can always go to that. Thank you. Next slide, please. One key thing is the psychological safety and well-being of your employees, which Mental Health First Aid have been working very closely with us with, and Network Rail alluded to. So there's a whole section about this in the guide, and then also we provide a statement you can share with your staff and information from the CIPD. Next slide, please. And then when you go to, and as I said, there's some key checklists on there. So to create a safe environment, signpost colleagues for additional support, because as Sonia alluded to, people can get emotional during the events, and conduct well-being checks before, during, after your tea break session. So there's much more information in there, but this is just giving an example and how psychological safety and well-being is at the heart of this. And we know there were lots of discussions done in the summer or post-summer that actually were very damaging for a lot of colleagues. Thank you. Next slide. So let's see if we can hear from, no, we can't hear from another Network Rail colleague. So I'm now delighted to introduce you to our second pair of speakers from Nexus, Linda O'Donnell and Paula Dixon. They will touch upon why change and new initiatives often fail, but how we can overcome these barriers. And there is lots more of this in the guide. Linda and Paula are co-founders of Nexus. Nexus has spent the last few years focusing on how to help leaders excel, with the lens that every leader is unique and have specific development needs. Nexus offers a tailored approach to meet these needs whilst fully understanding sector-specific challenges. Linda herself is a business psychologist and passionate about helping business owners and organization leaders across the public, private, and third sectors. Paula is a specialist business psychologist and coach. She is a passionate improver, dedicated to supporting organizational effectiveness and employee well-being. Much of her work is through evidence-based psychology. So over to Linda and Paula. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Javed. Next slide, please. Have you ever had the vision of how things could be, but it feels like a huge or daunting task? It can really feel like a mountain to climb. Next slide. You can be left with a lot of questions. Where do I start? Can I do this? Who can be the one to help me? Next slide.
The key to making any change work, whether it is to introduce the tea break concept into your organisation, or to introduce something such as a diversity and inclusion programme, is to make sure that the proper foundations are there, so that you've built those proper foundations at the beginning before you do anything. And we've identified 8 key steps that need to be worked through in order to achieve that.
Thought leader and professor at Harvard, John Cotter, reported that on average 70% of change initiatives fail, because we know that different people move through change at different times and in different ways, responding differently. We've adapted Cotter's steps to help you understand the steps that you need to deliver long-lasting change.
Okay, so we just want to make sure that these are really accessible and really practical steps that you can follow. And as Javed said, there's more in the guide. The first step is to create a sense of urgency. So take that reality check or a temperature check of the organisation. How are things at the moment? Get people talking, you know, hold meetings, focus groups, town halls, one-to-ones, tea breaks as well. Be clear about who will be affected and what are the benefits, what the benefits will be. And as Sharon said before as well, I think it's about preparing ourselves to have those uncomfortable conversations or courageous conversations as well.
We need to create a credible coalition. So from the discussions and the advocates, find out who is on board, who's got the sufficient influence, the skills and the passion, as it mentions in the tea break guide.
Okay, so we've got that sense of urgency, we've got the credible collaboration. So start with the end in mind. Often people forget about that. So what is it you're actually trying to achieve? Can you describe the vision in 1 or 2 sentences? You know, remember that people have a really short attention span in this digital age, and be clear about the vision and invite questions.
You also need to think about communicating the vision and what's happening across all the channels that are available to you. Things internally like the intranet, social media and meetings, one-to-ones, really to reach all of your stakeholders, because effective communication, as we know, requires open and honest two-way dialogue. Behaving in this way gives people permission to speak up and contribute.
Remove obstacles quickly. So there will be obstacles, but get everyone involved in the problem solving and sharing as well. Sometimes a useful way of being able to do that is to reframe any challenges that come up. So start your sentences with something like a more helpful way of seeing this is.
And to keep that energy going, keep creating quick wins. Share powerful stories and successes to keep that momentum going and keep the energy high for people that are involved.
Build on gains. So celebrate achievements, and that doesn't necessarily have to be something that has a financial cost attached to it. It's really about acknowledging the hard work, no matter how small it is. And also about recognising that change is an ongoing process and it's not necessarily linear either. So, you know, there will be setbacks. So we're trying to factor that in as well.
And the final step is thinking about making that change part of the organisation's DNA. Can you share the results, the benefits, the improvements, performance and behaviours? Because we know that senior leaders are key to role modelling these behaviours and promoting a sustainable culture.
Okay, and as Javed said, there is more information. We've kind of gone into the steps in a bit more detail in the guide, so hopefully you will find that useful. Thank you.
Thanks.
I bet you didn't think we could be this quick, Javed.
Thank you very much. Thank you both, Linda and Paula. Yeah, you caught us out there. I really appreciate there is stuff in the guide. I think it's really important. And I've realized where I've worked on projects without thinking, so without referring to these 8 steps or that I've succeeded or not succeeded, I can see by default I've done most of these 8 steps versus those when I haven't done it. So please do refer to it and get in touch with Nexus as you see fit. Right. Who we're delighted to introduce Viv Underwood, who has actually been fantastic support to the tea break and Race Equality Matters. Viv's an account manager at Guild, a community platform for professionals. Her clients include Social Mobility Foundation, Manchester Metropolitan University, and the Women of Colour Global Network. When not working for the Guild, she's also a freelance customer experience and communications consultant. Phil will introduce an opportunity for us to unite and be part of a tea break peer network community. So over to you, Viv.
Hi everyone, it's really lovely to be here. We're so pleased at Guild to be able to support Race Equality Matters in this, and I'm hugely impressed at how many people we've got on the event tonight, so welcome to everybody. I just wanted to give you a quick explanation of Guild. As Javed has said, it's a messaging and community app, and I and Javed came together when he was looking for a way to create a bit more of a kind of continuous community that could support you in delivering tea break and be able to give you access to peer support, knowledge sharing, having your questions answered so you feel like you're part of something bigger and you have support as organisers. And I know, a few people might be saying, well, why are you not running, a community on something like LinkedIn or WhatsApp? But I think it became very clear in our conversations that, you're dealing with quite sensitive issues here, and we wanted to make sure that the platform that you're using works in a similar way to the ethos that you guys were already talking about, these ideas of, very human connection, safe spaces. And you'll find that a lot of what's available on Guild in terms of features isn't very different from WhatsApp or LinkedIn. But we are an independent platform. We're UK owned. We have no affiliation with any other social media networks. We're simply here to provide a platform for communication, direct messaging, and as a community app. So we don't have any of those issues around things like data harvesting. We don't have ads. We're not using your data to power some other kind of money-making scheme. This is a place that prioritizes connection, collaboration, and our business model is based on our communities being engaging places to be, engaging safe spaces to be. Guild was founded in 2016, but became public last year. Around January 2020, as you can see, I said on here, we pride ourselves on being ethical tech, which is prioritizing the needs of people rather than platforms. Our founders, Ashley and Matt, have worked together for the best part of 20 years, originally founding a company that some of you might have heard of called eConsultancy, which was a online network of digital marketers when the internet was first starting to be used for marketing and communications. And that's still going strong now. Guild was built in response to the growing demand for mobile communications, but there's so little engagement now, is so difficult on social media, and there's an increasing distrust. So Ashley and Matt came together with a couple of advisors, Robin Dunbar of the famous Dunbar number, if you've heard of that, and Julia Hobsbawm, who are behavioural and social impact experts, to make sure that the platform that they were designing, it really does prioritise this genuine human connection and engagement without all of that noise and all of the distractions and issues around data that you tend to get on things like LinkedIn and the problems of using WhatsApp for professional networking. So Guild has been designed to create purpose-driven safe spaces for sharing knowledge, supporting one another and collaborating with high levels of trust and accountability. And as you'll see there, some of our community hosts include things like the CIPD, She Has No Limits, Judge Business School in Cambridge. So quite a wide variety. Next slide, please. From a user perspective, just to give you a little rundown, so we wanted Guild to feel familiar, we want it to be secure and simple. We're fully GDPR compliant. We don't share your data with any third parties, and there are no ads, and you have total control over your data and who you interact with on the platform. Content is threaded, so the threaded conversations, so it's much easier to keep on top of all the different discussions that are going on, and I can already see an appetite with the number of questions that are happening in the chat. And you can connect directly to individuals and build your own network, or you can choose to keep your profile private and simply use it to communicate within the specific community for tea break. Next slide, please. So our vision for the community is very much that this is your space. This is your space to come together as organisers, to talk to one another, to share your successes, to share your lessons learned. And the idea is that it will be an inspirational, motivational space where you can really get the information support you need, either from your peers, hopefully, and also from the race equality team. I think it's a place where you support one another and you can really express the passion that is so obvious amongst the group. And we hope that's going to be helpful to you in making you feel like part of a much bigger nationwide community. Next slide. So just to wrap up, it's really easy to join Guild. You're going to receive an invite from Race Equality Matters after this event. If you choose to sign up, you simply click a link, you'll be asked to register, and then you'll be taken straight through to the group. And you can access Guild either through mobile or on desktop. So there's plenty of different ways that you can get involved. It's very easy to leave if you decide it's not for you as well. There's nothing requiring you to be there, but obviously we'd love to have as many people as possible to come onto the platform just to really get that momentum behind this movement. I think it's going to be a really big success. Once you're registered, you just complete your profile and then you just introduce yourself in the group, and hopefully the discussions will take off. So I'm very much looking forward to supporting you guys in getting all the information you need and helping you to use Guild to make T-Break a success. And I think that's it.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Viv. And yeah, picking up what Viv said, what we wanted to create, there's about 200 people joining today's event, and we can't manage all them emails. Why can't we communicate amongst ourselves so we can use the Guild for it and then create this community? But more importantly, we're not left when we go back to our offices next week or two struggling with T-Break. There's an active community that we can work with. What we'll do is we'll do another quick poll, please. This will take about 45 seconds. So Nisha, you can do the poll, please. %60% of you've done it. If you can just wait for the other 40. Brilliant. Nisha, if you could just share the results, please. Okay, you can see, have you previously thought and looked into barriers to prevent change? Not all, little bit, it's about 50%. And then very much so and significantly as again, about 50%. So that's 50-50 there. How helpful was it to hear about the barriers to change from Nexus? Sort of over 50% vary or significantly. So please refer to the guide. How helpful do you think it's for the T-Break community? 71% very insignificant. How likely are you going to join it? So 42% very likely, definitely, and another 46% probably. Please do, because this is co-collaboration for everything we do. So thank you for that, Nish. Okay, what we're going to just do is we're going to try and play with some videos, move things around. So before we go to Louise, what we're going to do, we're going to go into the breakout room, if that's okay. So if we can go to the breakout slide, please, Nish. Thank you. So before we go into the breakout room, I want to share a big idea. Yeah, we'll all be aware of the George Floyd anniversary coming up on the 25th of May. Many organizations and race network leads and leaders have been asking us or thinking, what could they or should they do when this anniversary comes up? So what we wanted to consider is if organizations like yours could use this opportunity to use a tea break and reflect on the past 12 months. In a minute, you'll be broken into breakout rooms, I think on average of 7 people in a room. And the brief is we have up to 10 minutes. So as a year on, how has your organization done in addressing race inequality? So that's the question in one sense. So this is what you'll be doing during the George Floyd anniversary. A year on, how has your organization done in addressing race inequality? So the question we want you to address in the breakout room though is, how would you go about creating a tea break with that as the theme? So the discussion in the breakout room is, how would you go about creating a tea break with that as the theme? So appreciate for some of you that felt fast. It was over 9 minutes, not quite 10 maybe. So welcome back. We hoped it was insightful and provided an opportunity to get a feel and some ideas of how you could run tea break. And then obviously, whether there's an opportunity to use it during the week and the anniversary of George Floyd's killing. We're hoping hundreds of organizations will run this during that week of the 25th of May. We've played around with some technology, so we're going to now introduce you to our final speaker, who I mentioned she couldn't be here today because she had another diary commitment, and it's Louise Chambers from Oxford County Council. She has already used a tea break guide, yes, already used it, and ran an event last week during National Stephen Lawrence Day. She has kindly offered to have a recorded interview, which we carried out with her on Friday, to be shared. Louise is a media and comms specialist with over 20 years experience working in the media, marketing and PR industry. She's a marketing campaigns officer and BAME network member for Oxford County Council and Cherwell District Council. So what we like to do is play the video over to Donna. So why did you decide to run Tea Break?
About 2 months ago, we started a Mentoring for Diversity programme. There's been lots of training and lots of conversations taking place. And I think it's safe to say that we got to a crossroads, I feel, as an organisation where we know enough about where we are at the moment in terms of talking about race and how we kind of get around certain scenarios and challenges. And I think it was about bringing the conversation to a wider audience. As far as I know, something like this has never been done before. It was the first time that a meeting of sorts, sadly, not in person, but virtually, but a meeting of sorts was called and opened up to the whole organisation to say, join us, let's talk about race. So I think it was, yeah, really just the timing element to say these conversations are being had in pockets across the organisation, but let's do something wider that isn't necessarily about the organisation, but also helps people's awareness, helps their understanding of race, and just really gets rid of the fear. There's a lot of fear and, you know, race is a taboo. Oh, I want to talk about it, but I don't know what to say. And I think if nothing else, with the tea break, that was the real aim and objective of it, to say to people, you can talk about it, it's fine, and not to feel scared.
Thank you. And how did you go about setting the Tea Break event up?
So I have been involved in my day job as marketing and also as part of steering the BAME network to create a equality, diversity and inclusion calendar for all the kind of relevant corporate events, occasions, heritage celebrations and things across the year. And I just thought to myself, there's a couple of really important things coming up. One of them, Stephen Lawrence Day, that was the 22nd of April. And I just thought to myself, do you know what, let's do it. Let's just throw this open. I'm aware of the tea break format and what it can do. Let's pick a topical day as a kind of hook to get people involved, and let's just do it. And I'll be honest with you, Javid, I came up with the idea, very simple, obviously, it's nothing record breaking or, you know, not reinventing the wheel. I came up with the idea and I said to the rest of, I've got a steering group, it's 4 of us who collaborate to steer the BAME network. And I said to them, oh, let's do a tea break for Stephen Lawrence Day. So I kind of thought it all through and did the plans, and then kind of sent the information out to internal comms and things like that. And then I actually stopped and went, oh, I'm a bit scared now. I kind of got so involved in the planning and the doing. And then I thought about, this has never been done before. Oh gosh, oh, how is this going to land? How is it going to work? What are we going to get? So yeah, I think it was just a simple planning process, you know, thinking it through, thinking of how we were going to invite people, making it very clear about the aims and objectives so that people come to the tea break with a clear idea of what it's about and what the space is about.
Brilliant, thank you. And how, we know you're the first person to use the How to Do It Right guide. How did that help?
It was brilliant. If I'm honest with you, I think having the guide gave me the extra confidence to do it. I'm not someone who is scared to do something, but I think when you're going to take on a big task like this, it's good to have some guidance. It's good to have something you can refer to. I'll be honest, I took the guide and read it and thought great, and then, you know, kind of tweaked it a bit. For example, the tea break was an open drop-in session. As the first one, I know the guide, if I'm correct in saying, suggests that you should kind of invite people into the space and then lock the meeting. We didn't do that. We left it open for the whole hour because we didn't want there to be a barrier in terms of time. What if people can only come for 15 minutes? We didn't want to kind of lock them out and then they can't come. So, you know, there's things that we took on board and things we didn't because it was the first time we've done it. But the guide was brilliant just in terms of understanding the roles as well. I was the facilitator. I had a co-host who was like the chat manager. So again, we were able to understand our roles. We got really good feedback to say how seamless and flawless it flowed. And I think that's partly because we understood our roles, we understood the purpose of it. So yeah, the guide was, I would say, really influential to helping the session be a success.
Did you start thinking about running this tea break? Because the turnaround time was relatively short, my understanding.
Yes, it was. It was at the beginning of that month that I said, of April, that I said, right, I think we should do a tea break. I think maybe it depends on the organisation. As I said, I think as a county council, we're at the stage where there is an appetite for discussing race in an open way. We've had feedback from people saying, oh, you know, we'd love to join the BAME network, we want to, you know, those kind of things. So I think having that curiosity there meant that we didn't know how many people would attend, but we had a pretty good idea that we had a good following to turn it around fairly quickly and get some good attendance.
So as our first tea break champion, and what impact did it have yesterday's Stephen Lawrence event?
Well, goodness, I'm still absorbing it, if I'm honest with you. As I said, I'm not easily scared or frightened, but when it started, I had no idea what was going to happen because it's the first time it's been done. And we had 54 people join across the organisation, from very senior management to, you know, what I term as minions. I'm one of them, as a minion. And it was just incredible. We have some very vocal people within the organisation who are happy to speak out about their lived experiences of race because they want people to understand it and to be aware. But what was brilliant was that we also had some new faces and voices that I've never seen or heard before, who felt comfortable to kind of step into the space and share what they thought. There was a lot of solidarity, a lot of support. You know, our allies list is growing. I think it's raised the profile of the BAME network and what we're about. We, you know, at the end of it, gave a clear steer to say to people that, you know, the 54 people that are on this call, go and tell your team, tell your colleagues. You know, people who couldn't attend got in touch saying that they were sorry they missed it. I had a team meeting this morning for my marketing day job where my colleagues endorsed it, spoke favourably of it, praised me and the team. So yeah, it's had a real impact, and I didn't know how much of an impact it would have. You never can judge these things, can you, when you do a first one?
So brilliant. Thank you for Louise. So you know, up and at it within a few weeks, which is fantastic, and use the guide. And again, it's a guide, so she said how she adapted it. So and Louise was one of the co-creators. We had over 30 co-creators in doing this. Yeah, that's great. What there are some questions on here that we have noticed, and some about the well-being of colleagues, etc. So what we will propose to do is if you join us on the guild, we will answer a couple of them questions. But I'm just going to put pick up one of the questions and ask Sonia, if you don't mind answering it within sort of 30 to 60 seconds if possible. Was as part of a tea break, the concern about triggering some colleagues by what they may hear, etc. So how do you manage that, Sonia?
Okay, so that's one of the things that we were worried about at Network Rail, because we're talking about some really sensitive topics. So what we always do at the end of every session is we signpost to our partners, and that's Samaritans, Railway Mission, and we've got an employee resource group that people can make contact with, Lydium. We talk amongst ourselves in terms of the leadership team, and we're aware that if people get upset during the sessions, that we make contact with them at the end of the session, and we can follow up the next day if they're really upset, or a week later. We encourage people to be honest with us if they're upset, so that we can support them. And actually we're really lucky because we've created a community where we support each other. So sometimes I'll make contact with someone and say, I noticed you were a bit upset earlier, and someone will say, oh, such and such was on the tea break and noticed as well and contacted. So we're really lucky, and I think we've created such a strong community now, and that can only help things within Network Rail.
Thank you, Sonia, and I appreciate the questions. As I said, I would love to take more Q&As, but we promised we'd finish by 6:30, and I know it's important that we stick to that. Good practice for running tea breaks, I guess. So please join the Guild on that side. I said it's free. They're providing it for free for you, to pick up, keep these questions going, and provide solutions and ideas, etc. on that. Just to say that the organisations attending today, collectively, you reach more than 600,000 employees, maybe up to 1 million. That's all of you here today. So hearing the impact it's had on Network Rail and Oxfordshire County Council, imagine if we all ran a tea break during the same week, during the George Floyd anniversary. It could really make a significant impact in moving the dial on race inequality. And we will share more information on what you can do for that. So finally, I'd like to say thank you for all for attending, to our wonderful speakers from Nexus, Guild, Network Rail and Oxfordshire County Council, and the names and faces are on there. We will share the recording shortly, and the slide deck and speaker contact details. I must say thank you to our visionary lifetime sponsor, BT and Green Park. They know the difference their support is making to us, and it's enabling us to keep this going for free. Please go to our website to see free events lined up in May. Next slide, Nish. So we've got more Big Promise, Safe Space Workshop and Race Equality launch event for 2022. We appreciate we didn't give enough notice last year, maybe. Please do sign up to the Guild for free, so you can ask questions and access peer support and also support others. We are a not-for-profit, so please do get in touch if you want to help fund or explore sponsorship and marketing opportunities. To wrap up, we're going to try and share one last VT from Jason, which we believe sums up tea break. Please, can you play Donna?
Hi, I'm Jason St. John, and I'm a control centre technician. And every Wednesday between 12 and 1, I join our company's tea break, where we have good, meaningful discussion, invigorating, open discussion for our company's Black and ethnic minority employees. So I'm saying to you, I would encourage you, if you get the opportunity, join your company's tea break, become a part of an open, meaningful discussion. Grab your cup of tea and come along. Tell your other work colleagues, come and join us.
All have a lovely evening, and look forward to hearing all about your tea breaks. Keep in touch. Best wishes all, and thank you.